Welcome to my channel. This video is a complete beginner's guide to raising sheep. Raising sheep can be rewarding, if you own a small farm, or even a rural home, with a bit of available pasture space. If you are considering, here are some basics to consider, before you start assembling your flock. Now, first, why to raise sheep? This is because, sheep have some distinct advantages over other types of livestock. They are relatively small and easy to handle, compared with cows, horses, and pigs. Sheep don't need perfect pasture land, they happily eat brush, grasses, and weeds that grow in poor soil. Sheep manure will fertilize the soil. Sheep pastures can be rotated with crop planting. A former sheep pasture is a marvelously fertile spot for growing crops. Sheep are gentle and docile, although rams can be aggressive at times, and they are trainable. Sheep can be taught to come when called, to follow you, and to stand when ordered to. Sheep don't need much space. Even 1 acre can support a small flock, 3 or 4 ewes and their lambs. Now, choosing a breed. When selecting the right sheep breed, the first thing to consider is the purpose of the sheep. Are you raising them for meat or wool, or just as pet lawn mowers? Or are you taking the less common route, and raising them for milk? Although sheep don't yield nearly as much milk as cows or goats, some people do enjoy the taste of sheep's milk, and it can be used to make delicious cheeses and yogurts. You will also need to consider your local climate, so ask around locally as to what breeds are being raised by other farmers in the area. There are over 200 breeds of sheep, but the list of those most commonly raised is fairly small. So for the sake of time, I'm going to break the varieties of sheep down into 9 categories. 1. Fine wool sheep. They produce wool that is very fine, and make up about 50% of the world's wool sheep population. But needless to say, they are cute little things, that would put a smile on your face, every time you saw them. 2. Long wool sheep. These sheep are most commonly found in cool, damp climates. They produce wool that is larger in diameter, but that is also why they do so well in cooler climates. 3. Medium wool meat sheep. These sheep can produce a medium-sized wool. However, they are mainly raised for their meat, but they do make up about 15% of the world's sheep population. 4. Carpet wool sheep. These sheep are what carpet is made out of. They have 2 layers of wool on their bodies, because they are usually found in extreme environments. So the outer layer of wool is very thick and coarse. This is the layer that is shaved off, and made into thick and durable carpet. 5. Hair sheep. Hair sheep are really gorgeous. These sheep have hair in the place of wool. 6. Fat-tailed sheep. They are called fat-tailed sheep, because they have fat bottoms. Basically, they come from extreme environments, and are able to store a lot of fat in their tails. So since they are mainly raised in desert areas, they need to be able to store food preserves. These sheep are mainly used for meat and milk production. 7. Short-tailed breeds. These sheep have a short tails, that do not require being docked. They are naturally very fertile, so they produce a ton of offspring. Therefore, if you needed a larger number for a meat source, or if you wanted to breed them, then this might be a good option for that. 8. Prolific breeds. The breed that stands out the most, in this variety, is the Finn sheep. They are known for naturally being great reproducers. So as mentioned before, if you need a large number, for a meat source, or if you plan on breeding, as a means of support for your homestead, then you might want to consider one of these breeds. 9. Primitive breeds. These breeds are the ones that have survived without much help from humans. If you live in a rugged area, that having tough animals is a must, then you might want to consider this breed. Now the first most important step is buying sheep. After deciding on a breed, careful selection of individual animals is critical. Make sure that you purchase sheep directly from the person who raised them. Look at the flock the sheep comes from, talk with the farmer about the history of the animal, and its parents. Check the sheep's physical condition, especially the following details. Eyes should be clear and bright. Teeth should not be worn or missing. The lower jaw must not be undershot or overshot. Check the head and neck for lumps or swelling, which may mean an untreated worm infestation or abscess. The sheep's hooves should be trimmed properly, and the sheep should not be limping. Make sure other sheep in the flock are not limping either, because this may mean they have foot rot, which can infect your sheep. The sheep should have a wide back and deep body, and not be too thin or too fat. Potbellies can indicate worm infestation. If buying an adult ewe, make sure the udder is healthy and not lumpy. This can indicate mastitis, and can damage her milk production for future lambs. Having a vet inspect any sheep you want to purchase, can help you choose the best sheep. Now, care and feeding of sheep. Sheep are ruminant animals, which means they eat predominantly plants, such fresh grass and hay. They can thrive quite nicely, if they are fed nothing but good pasture grasses, salt, a vitamin and mineral supplement, and fresh water. Pastures for sheep can include a mixture of grasses, brush, and trees. In general, 1 acre of good quality pasture can support 4 sheep. While the pasture grass is growing, sheep can feed themselves without supplements, but in the winter or if there is a drought, you will need to supplement their diet with hay and/or grain. Make sure to use a raised feeder, rather than putting the hay on the ground, where it will get wet and dirty. Ewes who are about to lamb, or sheep you are raising for market, will benefit from supplements of grain. Sheep require more protein than other grazing animals, and where pasture grasses are poor or not plentiful enough to provide this, grain supplements provide necessary nutrients. Vitamins and mineral supplements should be formulated especially for sheep. Mineral mixtures for other animals may contain heavy levels of copper, which can be toxic to sheep. Like other ruminants, sheep need salt to prevent bloating. Salt can be offered in granulated or loose form. Now, fencing and shelter for sheep. The best type of fence for sheep is a smooth wire electric, or woven wire non-electric fencing. You can use electric net fencing for temporary paddocks. Rotating sheep into different paddocks keeps them on fresh pasture. In hot climates and in warm summer months, sheep require some shade, either from trees or an open roof structure. Make sure they have plenty of fresh, cool water during these times. Sheep don't need much protection. They prefer to have a simple, south-facing, 3-sided shed to protect them from the worst of the rain, cold, snow and wind. Using a light, portable shed allows you to move it to their current paddock. The shed size should allow for 15 to 20 square feet per adult sheep. One exception is if your sheep give birth to lambs during the winter. If so, a small barn or sturdy enclosed shed is necessary to protect the young animals. Even with small flocks, individual sheep will need attention sometimes, so some kind of handling facility is needed to confine individual animals for shearing or for medical treatment. This can be a fairly simple chute or forcing pen. This will be much safer than trying to chase and catch animals to handle. Now, a few words about handling sheep. Sheep are rather easy to handle if you understand some basics of how they instinctively move and behave. Sheep always tend to move toward other sheep and follow others in the flock. Sheep prefer to move uphill and toward open areas, away from confinement and buildings. Sheep can be herded better around gentle corners or curves, where they cannot see what lies ahead. Sheep always move away from things that frighten them. As is true of most animals, offering food is the best way to train sheep. Sheep love grain, peanuts, and apples. Lure them in with their favorite treats, and coax them into following you. Now, some extra care for sheep. 1. Trim their hooves. Just like with goats, you must trim a sheep's hooves. If not, they can become lame. So keep in mind that you can also provide cement blocks for them to prance up and down in order to trim their own hooves. Just remember to switch out the blocks ever so often because they'll dull them down. 2. Shave them. If you purchase a variety of sheep that has wool, it will need to be sheared at least once a year. If you buy a variety that has a thick layer of wool, then it will have to be sheared possibly 2 times a year. 3. Keep them clean. Sheep get dirty. You can only imagine living outside with all of that wool. It has to be difficult for them to keep clean. So you'll need to be sure to clean any area around their bottoms, or any area that is matted or caked with mud. Naturally, they have a hard time getting all of their waste out of their hair. When you shave the area around their bottoms and down their legs, this is called crutching. That is because you cleaning the area known as their crutch. Also, when you are cleaning the mud and matted hair from under their bellies, this is called dagging a sheep. 4. Check them for parasites. You can only imagine with all of that wool, that they can easily get mites, lice, and other types of creepy crawly things on them. According to a research, it is not the same kind of lice that lives in human heads. So you don't have to worry about becoming infected from your animals. Again, rubbing diatomaceous earth on your sheep is a great natural way of destroying any parasites on them. You can also sprinkle it in their bedding. It will kill fleas, ticks, and most other unwanted parasites and insects. However, if you feel more comfortable by consulting your vet, then do so. Just do what it takes to keep your sheep happy and healthy. 5. Deworm them. Like with most livestock, sheep need to be wormed. You'll need to do this at least once or twice a year. You can use diatomaceous earth. It is all natural, and it can be purchased online, or at a local agricultural store for very little money. Just sprinkle it in their food, and let them eat it. You can also use it for goats, chickens, and even on dogs. 6. Guarding against predators. Coyotes, wolves, and dogs are all predators of sheep. Foxes and even eagles, and other birds of prey can harm your sheep, as well. Here are some ways to deal with predators. Keep sheep in an open field, within your field of sight, so you can respond if predators appear. Maintain some guardian animals, such as trained dogs, donkeys, or llamas in your pasture. Light corrals and pens at night, and use high, tight fencing. Use live traps or cages for trapping marauding dogs, rather than traps. With live traps, harmless animals can be released. Put bells on your sheep. A helpful advice. When luring your sheep, be careful not to make them think you are chasing them. If they feel like they are in danger, they will likely bunch together and run to escape. You must learn how to get the sheep to come to you voluntarily, because if you try to drive them into a barn or other enclosure, they will feel trapped and refuse to enter. Sheep naturally want to flock, which means once you get one sheep to come to you, the others will likely follow. Hopefully, after you have gone through this video, you are now able to appreciate what magnificent creatures sheep are, and you may consider adding them to your busy homestead and have one more resource at hand that just happens to be adorable. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel.